guys? How's it going? Hello, everyone. We've got a nice little fire going here. How's it going, everyone? Feel free to throw your questions in the chat, and I'll happily answer any dog training questions you guys have. What's up, Chia Seed? Throwing some more wood on this fire. What's up, guys? Dane's Dogma, what's up? Alexandria, hello. If you guys have any dog training questions, feel free to type it in the chat, and I'll happily answer any questions you guys have. Hello, guys. Is your website broken? I don't think so. Go to hamiltondogtraining.co and it should work. But let me know. Maybe it is broken. How's it going, everyone? Feel free to throw out any questions you guys have. Marquita, hello. Nicholas, hello. Chia Seed has a question. So I put in a question about introducing my senior dog to a new pup earlier in the post. I'm wondering if you have any ticks. Senior is mildly reactive. So for that, introducing the new puppy to the older dog, first thing is separate them physically but not socially. So you can keep them together in the same house and stuff, but you don't have to introduce them right away. All right. And it also depends on the temperament of your older dog as well. So if your dog is a little more aloof, let's say, towards other dogs, or maybe wouldn't be the biggest fan of the puppy ever, then that's okay. We can set it up so that they're separated physically inside the house at first for the first couple days as the puppy is getting used to things and you're working on puppy stuff and all of that. And the dogs are just getting used to being in the same house together without feeling the need to interact immediately with one another, right? And then, on the third or fourth day, then you can make an interaction. And the key is not to force an interaction one way or the other. So if the puppy wants to interact with the older dog, let him interact with the older dog. If the older dog starts giving signs I don't want to interact with the puppy right now, then the older dog will probably correct the puppy on their behalf and you don't have to do anything. But if the puppy is really in the other dog's face, then you can come in and correct the puppy. Yeah?
The website is down.
It is down?
Yeah.
What is it? Let me see.
It's just an error.
Oh.
It might be Kajabi.
Yeah, I think it is.
So
I think the platform that we host our website on is down. So yeah, I don't think it's working right now. That would make sense.
Yeah, I linked the school instead.
Nice. All right, yeah. Our website's down, but we have, there's a link to, it's pinned in the chat. You guys can click on that and then you guys can see how our training program works. You guys can start a free trial too. But yeah, it looks like the people that we host our website on, it looks like their whole platform is down right now. That would make sense because I just sent out an email earlier today and I checked and all the links were failing and stuff in the email. So I was like, oh, something is wrong. So that would make sense. Wheels had to help me so much for being a first-time dog owner of a German Shepherd. Nice. Dog reactive at gas, loud barking and growling, female spayed. Kavachan, 4 years old. So if she's reactive at guests, if she's fearful when guests come inside the house, if she doesn't want to interact with them, then what I'll do is I'll send her to the place command. So send her to place, let the guest know that, hey, we're doing some training right now. Could you please ignore the dog? And then send her to place, have her stay on place. If she's barking at the guest while on place, they punish the barking. And then you have the guest ignore the dog. And then if she starts to get comfortable later on, let's say 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, then you can release her and still just have the guest ignore the dog and just watch the dog's behavior. Like, she'll tell you what she wants to do. Like, if she's still apprehensive about the people, she won't go up to them. But if she's now curious or interested in the people, then she'll go run right up to them, right? And then at that point, if she's open to the interaction, then you can allow them to interact with the dog. But don't force it, right? What trainers do you like? I like a lot of trainers. Larry Crone, Has That Shield Canine, Ivan Balabanov. I'm getting a Sable German Shepherd puppy on Sunday. Nice. That's awesome. Sable is my favorite color of the German Shepherds. That's gonna be a lot of fun, Chia Seed. That's gonna be really fun. What if my dog's prong collar is off during regular resting day and someone comes to the door? How do I control my shepherd? I can't get the prong on fast enough. So someone comes to the door after regular resting day. Okay, so I'm guessing it's like some package delivery person or something like this, right? It depends on where you are, like, in the training. So if you're in the very, very beginning stages, like if you're in the beginning of our training program, I just tell everyone, like, in the first couple weeks to, like, inside the house, if your dog has any behavior problems inside the house, just implement extreme management inside the house. So, like, crate them when you can't supervise them and place board when you can supervise them. And then once you've got, like, decent control, right? The management is important in the beginning because it takes all the behavior problems that you have inside the house and brings them down to zero, literally zero, right? And so that gives you some very necessary breathing room to now focus on other aspects of your training, right? Because you can't just, like, have 100 fires going on inside your house and try to put them all out at once, right? And so we just implement extreme management inside the house, and right away that gets rid of those problems. Like, if someone comes up to your door, okay, he starts barking, but he's on place, right? And so right away, now you have at least half decent control of the situation. Now, later on in the training, I have people give the dog progressively more freedom inside the house now that they have some basic control of the dog, right? So if it's just like a package person coming to your house or something like this is fun. Like, I don't care if my dog barks. I think it's perfectly reasonable for them to bark in that situation. I would think it's probably unreasonable for many dogs to expect them not to bark if someone strange is, like, coming up to the house or something like this, right? Like, my dog barks, Orbit barks, and so he barks at anything. Like, and this is fine. Like, it's totally fine for your dog to bark. Now, what I think is also perfectly reasonable is if I tell you to be quiet, I expect you to be quiet. So if I tell you to be quiet and you continue barking, then I am going to make pressure. And in the beginning, if you don't have much control, you'll have to use something to make pressure. So you'll have to use the leash and the prong. If you're later on in the program, you can use the e-collar. If you're finished with the program, you can just use your voice, just your body is enough to make pressure to get the dog to stop, right? And so it depends on where you're at. And then after that, after I get them to be quiet, then I'll send him to place, right? So there, I send him to place. I expect you to go to your place. Even if there's someone at the door, I don't care. I still expect you to go to place, and I expect you to be quiet once you're on place. Does that make sense? It kind of depends, right? Like, where you're at training wise. What prong collar would you recommend for a 66-pound, 1-year-old German Shepherd? You can use the 2.25 millimeter, which is the one I would use, or you can use the 3.2 millimeter one too. I like the smaller one though. You just have to get some extra links. Kiwami, 64 pounds, but got an extra fluffy 19-inch neck. If I order 2.5, need at least 4 extra links. Should I do that or go for the 3 millimeter? Yeah, Kiwami, that's the Akita, right? Japanese Akita. Yeah, I believe you're inside the program, right? Sorry, your profile name is Joey on this one. So yeah, for her, like, the Japanese Akita, man, they've got such fluffy around the neck. So, like, if you like use the smaller prongs, like, sometimes it doesn't even, like, get through their coat. Like, it just, like, sits on top of it because their hair around their neck is so thick. And so a lot of times for them, I'll just use the bigger one, the 3.2 millimeter one. Same thing with the Samoyeds too. Like the Samoyeds are really thick and fluffy around their neck as well, right? And so, yeah, that's what I would do. If the smaller one works, you can use the smaller one, but you might have to use the bigger one. Nicholas asks, how can I stop my golden retriever from getting super crazy when meeting new people and dogs? When meeting new people and dogs. So I'm guessing like you're meeting outside, maybe like in a public space, maybe like a person or a dog that they haven't met before, I'm guessing. For that, I would just do the loose leash walking. So it's okay if he's excited. There's nothing wrong with being excited, right? He's a golden. He's got to be excited. And that's great. That's what makes him him. And so you don't need to remove the excitement, but you can put boundaries on it. So for example, even if you see a dog and he makes you really excited, there's still basic rules. Like you cannot just pull me on the leash just because you see a dog here. See? If you pull on the leash, there's a consequence. You can't just start barking because you're frustrated because you can't. See, that's another boundary that you set. Just because this person is making you excited doesn't mean you get to jump all over them, and this is a boundary that we set. You see, it's okay for you to be excited. That's okay. That's not a problem, right? Be excited. But there are still boundaries that are in place. Everything doesn't just, for a lot of dogs who get excited, a lot of dogs use it as an excuse to basically do whatever they want, right? And then, yeah, you just have to reinforce all the same basic rules and expectations and boundaries that you've set in other areas in that context too. Does that make sense? How do I stop my dog from stealing items? We limit his access, but he takes every chance he gets to loot and destroy whatever he finds. Again, Danes, this is kind of similar to the question I answered earlier. For us, in our training program, if you have any behavior problems inside the house, we just have everyone implement extreme management inside the house. So crate when you can't supervise them, place when you can supervise them. And that's it. And right away, every single behavior problem you have inside the house literally drops to 0. Again, this gives you breathing room now, because you can't just, like, if you've got 100 things wrong inside the house, like, you can't fix it all at once. Like, you're just going to be jumping from one thing to the next. No, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And it's just terrible. It's terrible for the dog. It's terrible for learning. It's terrible for you. It's frustrating for you and the dog. And so what we do is just extreme management in the beginning. We reset the entire baseline inside the house. Crate, place. That's it. That's it. Right away, the dog is immediately reset. Right? Inside the house, the only option is just to be calm. It's just to relax. It's just to do nothing. And then the only time we come off of those things is when we're training, when we're playing, when we're going outside on an adventure and we're having fun together. You see what I mean? And you start building the basics of control. And then inside the house, you start slowly giving the dog more freedom. Now that you have some basic ability to communicate with the dog, if they have any specific problems, like for example, they steal stuff and destroy it, then you set it up as a training session. This is a training session, right? We're not just giving the dog freedom here. We give them supervised access and set it up as a training session. You know he destroys your shoes? No problem. We bring him off the place board while he's on his leash, he's on his prong, he's just dragging it around. We release him from the place board. We have the shoes out. We're setting him up to fail. We set him up to make the mistakes so we can attach a consequence to it in the moment. We're supervising it. So right when he goes over to the shoes, like the moment we see him go over and he goes to on the shoes, no, walk over, pop, pop, pop. Don't do that. And then let him make another choice. Go back and sit on the couch. And then he's gonna be like, oh, okay, I guess maybe I can't do that, but I don't know. And then he like takes a little break and then he goes right back to the other shoe. Right when he does that, no, walk over, pop, pop. Don't do that. Knock it off. And we leave the shoes there, right? You're not hiding the shoes, like you're not preventing him from chewing the shoes. We let you chew the shoes, and then we make a consequence when you chew the shoes. You see? And then very quickly he learns, oh, well, I guess chewing shoes is not an option, right? But you have to set it up as a training session like that. The mistake people make is they don't set it up as a training session. Maybe they try to punish it in one instance where they can catch it, and then they don't catch it the next time, and they don't catch it the next time, and they don't catch it the next time. And so you see, like, the dog never learns that they can't chew the shoes. They just learn that sometimes they can't chew the shoes and sometimes they can. Does that make sense? So you start out just super structure inside the house, and then you set up dedicated sessions. How many firm corrections did you give Arrow before he stopped being reactive? I have a few good corrections to my reactive dog, and she is starting to make better decisions. So I'm guessing you mean like in that video, that was how I take dogs from reactive to off leash, right? And at the end, I show you how I punished Arrow's reactive behavior. And you can see like that was a real punishment event. Like I really let him know in that moment, bro, don't do that again, right? Corrections like that, I had to do that, I think like less than 5 times, like that type of punishment event. And then there were some like little things out, just like little things, but nowhere near that intensity, right? It was just kind of like after you said it a few times, it's like, okay, shit. Like the dog knows that you're capable of going there. I don't want to go there. Like I do not want to experience that. I get it, right? And so there are like little things, like little warnings I give like later on in the training. But as far as like big corrections, like you saw me do in that video, like under 5. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. How did you get dog training clients and start growing when you first started? People just came up to me and asked me if I was a dog trainer because they would see me training at the park with Orbit, and they would just see me playing with him, and like people would naturally just gather around. Like when they see you like just like playing with the dog this was like, we lived in Bellevue, Washington at the time, right across from Downtown Park, which is like this really beautiful 21-acre park right in the middle of downtown Bellevue. And it's like this, it's super nice, right? And there's tons of people, tons of dogs there every single day. And most people like in the middle of the park, they let the dogs off leash and they just run around and like play with each other and stuff. But for me, I would go there and I would pull off to the side and I would just play with Orbit every single day, like literally multiple times every day. We'd walk there from our apartment, off leash, walking right next to me, past people, past dogs. We'd go to the grass, we'd play. And people just naturally circled around to watch because most people just have never seen that before. Like if you guys saw the video that I posted recently, how I exhaust my dog in 5 minutes, it was just like a play session with Orbit. Most people have never seen that before, right? And so it's like, for most people, it's just like mind-blowing when they see it in public. And so they just gathered around and watched, and people came up to me and asked me if I was dog trainer. And in the beginning, I was like, nope. And then I just started saying yes. But yeah, so that's basically how I started, was training my dog. Hey, Miles, thank you for the videos. Is there a recommended way to ensure a dominant intact dog doesn't play too hard with a smaller dog, in this case German Shepherd and a smaller Labrador? Yes, I mean there's no guaranteed way to do it, but supervise it and then step in if it gets too crazy, or if you notice your smaller Labrador is like I'm trying to get out of here like right now, like he's feeling overwhelmed, he's feeling like, and you'll kind of see it, like he'll be, instead of coming back for more, trying to get in your German Shepherd's face, he'll be kind of like cowering and trying to run away and try to make space, and your German Shepherd will keep coming back for more. If you see that type of behavior, then step in and tell your German Shepherd to knock it off and give him space. Let him take a little break. If you notice your Labrador just keeps coming back for more, right? Like just keeps coming back, then it's a good sign that both dogs are enjoying the play. And so look to your smaller dog in that case. Thank you so much for all your free information. You're welcome. I hope it is helpful. Sage. Hello, Sage. Yes, Sage is in our online program. All right. else in your orange brother? She nipped at a guy I was walking with tonight and it came out of nowhere. I was so caught off guard. What should I have done? So if she nipped at someone, I'm guessing you were walking like in town, I'm guessing, because I know you said you live in a very rural area. So I'm guessing you took her into town in that instance. Now, what was the context? Was someone coming up to her? Were you just passing by? Was someone coming into her space? Did they reach for her? Right? What was the context around it? I need more context. Marquita said, how can I work on my dog towards squirrels? The letting him choose and the reward or punishment is not working for him. It's not that it's not working, it's just that you're not actually punishing the behavior. Miguel said, your toy video was awesome. Ever think about a follow-up? Anything new or cool you found? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's see, what are my favorite toys right now? I think Orbit's really been enjoying his Roughwear hydroplane frisbee. He really likes that one. It's just like a soft frisbee, and we can play fetch with it, we can play frisbee with it, we can play tug with it. He gets a really good grip on it. I can play with it in the water. Like, he really likes that toy. I really like it too, because it's a nice all-around toy, and it's just a nice toy. We go through about like one of those a month. Or like maybe two of those a month, or once every 2 months. That's probably his favorite toy at the moment, if you had to choose. Yeah, there's a lot of fun toys. Tess says, how do I train my German Shepherd puppy to stop resource guarding? Socks and underwear. She guards those with her life. First thing is just management. So prevent her from getting access. So she shouldn't ever be in a position where she can find underwear in the house and resource guard it. That's like unreasonable. I can't think of any situation in which that should ever occur. It should be impossible for that to occur, right? It's like she's in her crate, or she's in a playpen, or she's on her place board, or you're doing something with her inside the house. And so I can't think of any situation in which that would occur. And the only situation I can think of in which that would occur is if you were leaving her unsupervised around the house, which of course you're not doing, are you? When training two dogs, create one out of sight while working with the other, or work through the distraction. No matter which is being trained, the other constantly barks, whines while maintaining on place. Yeah, that's a great question. It depends on where you are in the training. So, like in our training program, like if you were in week 1 of the training program, for instance, and your dogs had no training whatsoever, then I would say just create the other dog, have them separate for now, teach each dog the place command, and so on, right? And then once you get to week 2, you can start sending one dog to place and then working on the stuff that you learned in week 1 with the other dog, right? So working on your sits, working on your downs, right? And just doing some loose leash walking as the other dog is holding the place. As the other dog is holding the place, they have to exercise impulse control, of course, and they will 100% step off the place board, in which case you will negatively reinforce the place command. You're gonna mark it with ah, and then make pressure on the dog's leash back onto the place board, and you continue working with your second dog. And then you switch, 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 and you notice the mistakes get fewer and fewer and fewer, and then make it harder, right? So now we might start making some more dynamic rewards as one dog has to hold the place. That's a lot harder. They're gonna break for sure, right? And then you start doing some healing while the other dog is on place, right? So like you just make it harder and harder and harder and harder. And the dogs have to exercise impulse control in that context, the dog that you have on place. And so they're learning to first control their impulses, but they're also learning that you can work with one dog and not with them. That's like the most important thing. Is like a lot of people who have multiple dogs, like the dogs have learned that if mom is doing something, that something needs to include me also, right? It's like they don't want to be left out. And so you have to teach them that sometimes you will be left out, and here's how to deal with it, right? And then once you get to like week 4, week 5 in the training, then you can start training them together. Because now at that point you have really good control of each dog, and then you can use the other dog as like the distraction, like out on walks and stuff. Alexandria asks, any tip on what to do when an off-leash dog runs up to your on-leash dog aggressively? Yeah, you really only have 2 options. Either you handle the situation or you let your dog handle the situation and hope for the best. That's about it, right? It's annoying for sure, but those are really your only 2 options. So you got to make a split-second judgment call in the moment. How is this dog? Like, what dog is running up to my dog? Like, how are they running up to my dog? Right? What does their intent look like as they're running up to me and my dog, right? If it's like some really nice little sweet little gold doodle like coming up all politely, okay, very different than like like Rottweiler charging up to you guys running full speed at you. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely different. And so you got to make a split-second judgment call in the moment, and then either you handle it and you step in front of your dog and you fend the other dog away and you keep your dog safe, or you let your dog handle it and you let them handle the interaction, and you're there watching it very closely and ready to step in case anything goes south, and then try to keep it short and sweet, and then you call your dog off, come on, let's go, and then you walk in the opposite direction, and that dog is probably going to follow you, and you do your best to keep it moving, right? And so like, that's really it. It also depends on your dog too. Like, if you have a really nice like, for example, with Arrow, if some dog runs up to him, I'm 100% letting him handle the situation. I'm not going to handle it. Like, Arrow's going to be fine. Like, he holds himself very well. Like, he's very just like confident in himself. Like, he just has that presence about him, you know what I mean? And he'll be totally fine in any situation, you know? If that dog tries something, Arrow will do what he needs to do, you know what I mean? And so it's fine. Whereas Orbit, for example, my border collie, he gets much more nervous, like, around dogs, especially if they're bigger than him, more dominant. They come in very dominant, right? He gets very, very insecure around that. It makes him very uncomfortable. And so for that, in some situations, I might step in, right? Whereas like Arrow, I would never step in. And so it depends on the dog coming up to you. It depends on your dog. But ultimately, you have 2 choices. You handle it, or the dog handles it. Eric says, hey man, I really appreciate your work and knowledge. Thanks you, Eric. I appreciate it. Tales of Sierra, hello all. Hello, Sierra. Sierra is inside of our training program. She is a husky, and she's about to be off leash very soon. And prove all of the people who doubt huskies wrong. Darth Vader asks, I have a question. My 1.5-year-old golden retriever loves to play. However, a couple months ago, she doesn't seem interested in playing indoors. Is that normal? Probably not. Like, you should be able to rekindle it, even if she's not interested in the moment. So I would look more to what you're doing and less to what the dog is doing. Like, for example, if you were inside the training program, I would be like, all right, post a video of you guys playing inside the house. That way I can see exactly what you're doing and tell you what you need to change. By the way, if you guys want to join our training program, you can start a free trial. It's the pinned link in the chat. You can try it out for 7 days. Joe asks, how would you stop demand barking? You punish it. So for many dogs, they learn to demand bark because it was reinforced at some point. Like, they just bark at you and then you give them affection without even realizing it, or you look at them and that was enough, right? Or you do actually let them outside, or you give them that treat that was on the counter or whatever, right? So for many of them, it was reinforced in some way in the beginning, and then the owners kind of catch on to it and they're like, wait, I think I have taught this behavior. And then they try to stop doing it, right? But then the dog keeps doing it. Why? It's because it becomes just a self-reinforcing behavior. The dog just enjoys barking at you to try to get these various things. Even if you don't get it, it's like, okay, I still get to bark at you. And then I'll try to bark at you next time and next time and next time and next time. And they just keep doing it. And so for that, you just punish it. Every time you bark at me, something bad happens. That's it. very quickly the dog is like, okay, I'm just gonna stop barking at you because it leads to literally nothing good for me. Alejandro asks, how's the correct process of generalization of a command and proofing while slowly reducing food rewards? Love the content. Yeah, so for that, like, I'll talk about like what we do for us. So our training program is structured in six weeks. So like the first couple weeks, you're doing a lot of teaching. The third week, you introduce the e-collar. The fourth and the fifth week, you're really proofing like around distractions. And by the sixth week, you take off the leash. So the generalization of commands is throughout that entire process. So from start to finish. In the very beginning, like the first week, you're teaching it in very low distraction spots, but very quickly, like later on in that week or in week 2, you start doing all of those behaviors outside on the walk. So immediately you're generalizing it. In week 4, you're teaching the dog how to respond to the command with the e-collar pressure. So I would say that's another form of generalizing the command. And then you're also in week 4 and week 5, now you're going to new environments and stuff. And so the generalization process happens throughout the whole thing. Fading out the rewards and corrections though happens on week 5 of the training. So right before you take off the leash. So for that, you fade out the food rewards so you can change to a variable reward schedule. So if you were reinforcing at like, let's say if you were like at a 75% reinforcement schedule or like a 50% reinforcement schedule, you drop it down to like a 25%, 10%, and you fade it out. To fade out the negative reinforcement, you increase the pressure significantly in week 5. And then that's what gets you to the point where the behaviors are durable enough where you don't have to constantly correct your dog and you don't have to constantly reward your dog. Your dog just does it, right? And that's like generally what everybody thinks of when they think of a trained dog. They think of a dog who just does it just because you told them to do it. Like they just do it, you know what I mean? And that's tends to be what people think of when they think of a trained dog, right? You don't imagine having a trained dog and having to walk around with treats every second or having an e-collar on every second of the day and having to constantly hit the stim button. Like, who would want that? You know what I mean? You just have a dog that listens just because that's how it is. But that's how you do it in week 5. So, sorry, to answer your question more concisely, you switch to a variable reward schedule, you fade it out, you reduce it, and then you also increase the negative reinforcement. We've got a bunny that just appeared in our yard. Arrow would love this bunny. Rex asked, do you like doggles? I don't know. I have no use for doggles personally. I'm just a regular, we just live normal. If I was doing something crazy, then maybe. Ivan asks, how old should I teach my puppy off-leash training? The training starts right from day 1. So right when you get the puppy. Now, what you do with a puppy is different than what I would do with an adult dog because your priorities are different. Like with a puppy, I'm not focused on making control. I'm not focused on fixing behavior problems because there is no behavior problems with puppies. They just do stuff that puppies do, right? And so with puppies, there are really 3 main pillars, in my opinion, in raising a successful puppy. The first pillar is management. So management, if you don't do anything else, management is like the only thing you should do. So this is just like preventing problems from occurring in the first place. So inside the house, your puppy is in their crate, or they're in their playpen, or they're on their place board, and they're on a leash when you go outside. Like just good management. It prevents so many bad behaviors from occurring that you then have to undo later on in the training, right? So good management right off the hop, because your puppy's gonna do all sorts of stupid stuff that they don't know is stupid because they're puppies, and that's okay, right? That's okay. That's the entire point. But management prevents them from you having to go around and be like, no, don't do that, stop this, stop that, right? And then by the time they're like 9 months old, you're like, oh my God, I need a trainer. So good management first. The second thing is, let me get some more wood. So good management. The second thing for me is play. So for me, with puppies, I play every day, multiple times every day. It's like all I really do with puppies, honestly. We just play. We play inside the house. We play outside the house. We play at parks. We play in new places. We play in familiar places. We play like literally everywhere, all of the time, always. That's just how I naturally like interacting with puppies. Like, and then I teach all of the obedience, like in that context. So like, even if I'm working with food, I'm still playing with the food. Like I'm having them chase the food and I'm throwing the food and I'm luring them into the behavior and then I mark and have them chase the food again. Like it's all play. It's all play. I'm teaching them stuff in the play, but we're having fun and we're learning how to cooperate with each other. We're learning how to play games with each other. The puppy now has something that they look forward to doing every time they come out of the crate. Guess what they look forward to? Not going and chewing your shoes, not going and destroying the couch and peeing on stuff and barking at other dogs. That's not what they look forward to. Every time they come out of their crate, every time we go out of the house, the puppy is looking forward to working with me and playing with me and having fun with me. And I'm looking forward to doing that with a puppy, right? It's like, it's super, super fun. And that's how I do it. And so I teach the obedience all in the context of play, just with puppies. Play a lot. Like, dude, when we had Orbit in downtown Seattle, well, first off, I didn't know what I was doing really, but we played so much. I was worried like we stunted his growth. I was stunting his growth and he was going to develop abnormally and his legs were going to grow unevenly, literally, because I was like looking at the exercise, the recommended exercise amounts for puppies and stuff like this. And I was like, holy shit, we're like 10x over this, like at least. Because it's like every time we would come out of the crate, we'd play. Like everywhere we went, we would play. And so, but anyways, he turned out fine. Okay, I got sidetracked. First puppy pillar, management. That's the one and only thing you should do if you only do one thing. Next thing, play. Play every single day. Play everywhere, play often. Keep the sessions short, like don't go crazy with it, but keep the sessions short, but play often. Teach your dog that learning is fun. Interacting with you is fun. That's like the big lesson that I'm trying to teach. The third pillar is socialization, but not how people think of socialization. A lot of people think like, they hear the word socialization and they think of like socializing with humans, right? This is not the right way to think about socialization. In fact, I need to use a different word. But for whatever reason, everybody in the dog training world uses that word, so I continue to use it. So, how to think about socialization if you have an 8-week-old puppy. 8 weeks ago, your puppy didn't exist. Like they literally weren't even here. Like they're brand new to the world. They just got here like 2 months ago, right? Think about their whole world as black and white. Okay? Think about the world from their perspective as black and white. And it's your job in the next 6 months to color in as much of the world as you possibly can for them. So every time they see something, every time they interact with something, every time they're exposed to something, you're coloring in that section of the world for them. And you want to color in as much of the world as you can in that first 6 months. So everything from the waves and the beach and the shopping carts and geese in the park and how they fly away when you get close to like everything that your puppy could possibly be exposed to in the world, in life, you want to expose them to that in the first 6 months. And so the goal with socialization is not to create any excessively positive or excessively negative associations with any one individual thing. You want to just expose your dog to as much of the world as you possibly can, at least how I view it, right? A lot of people go real overboard with it, right? They create excessively positive associations with certain stimuli in the environment, be it other dogs, strange people that they see out in public, chasing wildlife, right? Like whatever it is, like the dog or even just smelling around and engaging with the environment. Like they create excessive positive associations with these things. Then it becomes not productive later on. And so you're shooting for nothing excessive, like just like passing good experience with like generally everything. Like that's what you're looking for. If you notice you find something where your dog is a little worried about it or a little concerned by it, which your puppy will, all right? There are things that will concern your puppy or maybe freak him out a little bit. Don't avoid it. Don't like run away. Don't like, oh puppy, oh my God, and like pick them up or something like this. You work through it and you show the puppy how to overcome that stress in the moment. So for example, let's say you take your puppy to the store, the hardware store. You notice he's a little afraid of the carts as they come by, right? And so that's okay. We're gonna set it up like a training session, right? We're gonna set it up. We're gonna have the puppy. We're gonna have a helper or something reel by their shopping carts, and we're going to expose the puppy to this until he's no longer afraid of the thing. But again, nothing excessively positive or excessively negative. Like he gets it. Oh, nice job. We play a little game and then we're gone. You know what I mean? Like the nice thing about puppies is they get their attention is like so easy to redirect onto something else. And so once you work through the puppy with that, then it's like, okay, good. And then we continue moving along, right? And that's it. On to the next thing. So yeah, sorry, that was a little long, but yeah, that's what we do with puppies. Those are the three like pillars, how I think about it. And then once the puppy is around, like, because like that's like the really important stuff. Like I don't care about like teaching a perfect heel and you have to ignore all the distractions and you like it's just not the priority with puppies. Like there's so many other important things you could be working on, you know what I mean? You can do all that stuff later. So we lay that good foundation with the puppy, and then by the time the puppy's like 6-7 months old, then we start Blueprint, which is our training program, right? Which is like the formal obedience stuff, and the dogs breeze through that really quickly. Like for example, one of our trainers inside of our community, she recently got a border collie puppy. She documented the whole process from literally day one all the way to today, like the entire training process, all breaking down. It's all in there inside of the program. And then she started Blueprint, and by the time her dog is 7 months old, he's fully off-leash trained because he has that strong foundation and because she put in that work from day one up until then, right? Eric asks, what do you know about littermate syndrome? Do you think it's possible to make them good? I have 2 Belgian Malinois sisters, 6 months old. It's totally, like, it just depends on what you do. It just depends on you, right? Like, when people talk about littermate syndrome, they just think it's because many people who get 2 dogs at once have no idea what they're doing, right? Like most dog owners. For the first time, they have no idea what they're doing, and so they just let the dogs hang out and play all day, and they're just like chase each other around the house all day long, right? And the owner never took the time to build a relationship with the dogs. There's none. Like, you could put those 2 dogs in any house and it would make no difference. Like, to the puppies, you're just like it kind of sounds bad to say, but you're like basically just a roommate to them. You just happen to be here. Like, yeah, you're nice, and like, yeah, you give me pets and treats, and like sometimes you throw the ball for me, but like that's about it. That's about it. I could be with anyone, right? And you don't have a relationship with the dogs. And so if you've got 2 6-month-old Malinois, how is your relationship with your dogs, right? Can you take each of your dogs out individually and work with them and play with them? Do they love to work with you and train with you individually, right? Do you have that relationship with them? Do you have control of them individually as well? Can you control them while they're together? Do they understand that you can control them while they're both together, right? That's kind of like the difference, right? And so, yeah, when most people talk about littermate syndrome, I think that's what they mean is like, it's just the dog's relationship with each other and not so much with the people. But you can definitely raise 2 puppies at once, all right? I hope you're doing well, Eric, with both of your dogs. Chia Seed, what sports do you recommend for working line GSDs? I mean, there's a lot to choose from, right? They can really do anything. Of course, like the working line German Shepherds, they're mostly known for their utility in sports like IGP, PSA, and so these are like protection and obedience sports, and so You can look into those for sure. But yeah, they can do a lot of stuff. Like people even do agility with their German Shepherds. People do dock diving with their German Shepherds. Like, they're really, you can do a lot of stuff. So you got a lot of options. Female 10-month-old Doberman puppy, always knocking over 13-month-old daughter, disregarding her because she's looking at me. Correct it. So you can step in. Like if you notice that she's being oblivious and not paying attention to where your daughter's at in relation to her, you can mark it and come in and make a consequence. So your dog learns quickly to respect your daughter's space, right? And your daughter obviously can't do that herself, so that's where you step in and you make her be respectful of her space, right? Am I able to train my German Shepherd reactivity if I'm busy? This is one of my, whenever people say, Miles, can I do training? I'm busy. I always tell them, if you have a dog, you have the time. If you have a dog, I know for a fact you take them out at least 3 times a day, right? Even if you work like a 9 to 5, right? Or more, a 9 to 8. You probably take them out at least twice a day. You take them out before you go to work in the morning to go potty. You take them out right when you get home from work, and then you take them out right before bed, at least, right? And so that's 3 opportunities to do training. That is more than enough time. That is more than enough time. That is all the time you need. That's all the time you spend walking. That's all the time you spend interacting. That's all the time, like, that is the time. And so you just have to change what you're doing in that time, right? It's not about creating more time. Like this is another thing. Like you have to just change what you're doing in that time differently. Now, what does take additional time is you have to learn what to do differently in that time. So you have to watch videos like this. You have to watch YouTube videos. You have to watch training course videos. And yes, that does take time. But what I then tell people in return is I know for a fact you have time to watch it because you found me on social media. You found me on social media. I know for a fact you have time. You're literally scrolling Instagram, you're scrolling YouTube, you're watching YouTube videos. Like I know for a fact you have time in your day to watch a training video in the day. You know what I mean? And so it's always an excuse. You always have time. If you have a dog, you have time. And in fact, once you go through the training, you will realize like you're actually buying yourself so much more time in the future because now living with your dog is easy. Like it's so easy. You want to go on a walk, you just go on a walk. You don't even think about it. Like you're not even stressed about it. You're not worried about it. You're not planning around it. You're not accommodating your dog around like some weird schedule to avoid this and can't do that. And you just go, you know what I mean? And it saves you so much time and so much stress in the long run. All right. I know I'm getting kind of behind on the questions here. My German Shepherd is training on a prong collar, and I keep getting run up on by off-leash dogs. Nearly dropped an owner yesterday. It was the best thing to do to help my dog when this happens. So I answered that earlier. Really, you have 2 options. Either you handle the situation or you let your dog handle the situation. That's about it. It depends on your dog and the temperament of your dog, and it also depends on the dogs coming up to you. I will also say another thing, though. If you keep getting run up on by off-leash dogs, it's very easy to blame the other dogs and people, of course. It's super annoying and it's super frustrating and it pisses you off entirely. I 100% understand that. But like in every situation in life, you always, instead of blaming things outside of your control, always look to what you can control. So think to yourself, why does this keep happening? Am I doing anything that's contributing to this problem? Is there something I can do differently to not create this problem for myself in the future, right? Like, for example, I can tell you, for me, when I was living in downtown Bellevue in Washington State, we were right across from a 21-acre park, and there are dogs and people there all day, every day. A lot of people let their dogs off leash in the park, and they are running around, and they're running up to people, running up to dogs, like all that stuff. I got ran up on by an off-leash dog the only time I can remember is once. I can't remember a second time. Maybe there was a second time, but I can't even remember a second time. And we lived there for 2 years, and it never happened. And so why didn't it happen? It's because when I was walking him, I strategically walked him in areas of the park where the likelihood of getting run up on by an off-leash dog was extremely low. There were areas where if I walked in this park, I would 100% get ran up on by an off-leash dog, like 100%. I'm definitely gonna run up on. But there are other areas that I can take him to, other areas that I can play in where I wouldn't get ran up on by an off-leash dog. Does that make sense? And so it really, like, I know it's annoying, but like try to bring it in your area of control and think about if there's anything you can do. But yeah, it is annoying, super annoying. How did you personally begin training a contact heel? My dog has a formal heel and an informal street heel at the moment, but would like to start working on direct contact at all times. You reinforce the dog for having consistent contact with you at all times. So your criteria is just different. Like instead of you always being in this position, you have to maintain contact with me. And so it's a little bit different. Like a lot of times, like it's just not, at least in my opinion, it's not very practical for just like everyday life living with the dog regular. Like it's not that useful. Like I don't actually want you making contact with me because it's annoying. And sometimes I trip over you, and sometimes I you're getting my way, and like this, you know what I mean? Like I just need you like generally pretty close to me, like on my side. Prong collars and e-collars are illegal in my country. Do you recommend any alternatives? I'd say it's up to you to make your own decision. So, of course, like the force-free, positive-only people, that the advocates have successfully lobbied many governments in the European countries to ban the use and the import of these tools. You should think for yourself. Do I agree with this or do I not? I'm not telling you to break the law, but I'm telling you to question it. Question it. Who are the people who signed this law into effect? What do they know about dog training? Do I agree with this? Do I agree with it? Right? And then you can make a decision from there. Like, yes, of course, the penalties are very high, right? If you get caught or if you get reported by the police, right? But I can tell you, for us, like we have many, many, many people inside of our program who live in these countries, who have gone to multiple trainers, haven't been able to fix the problems, have been told things like, you need to rehome one of the dog. This dog is not trainable. You need to put this dog on medication. And they're like, no, I am not doing that. And they don't quit. And they join the program and they use the tools anyways, even though it's illegal, and they do what they need to do. And so I'm not telling you you should do anything illegal. Of course, you should definitely follow your laws, but I'm telling you, you should think for yourself and question it. Why don't you take a purely positive reinforcement approach? Because it's not useful for the goal I'm trying to achieve. So for me, how I train and what I like is I want a dog that I can take with me wherever, off leash, around distractions. He can walk next to me, he can come to me, he can be free in the environment. We can go on walks off leash, we can go on hikes off leash, we can go on bike rides, we can go play fetch in the park off leash. Like if you want that level of control, like real control, you want to give the dog that real freedom. You want to trust your dog in those moments, right? And you want to trust that your dog will perform when they need to perform a behavior. If you want that, the only way you can achieve that is if you have reliability around competing reinforcers. If you're using only positive reinforcement and you're just trying to positively reinforce behaviors, you're fucked the moment you run into a competing reinforcer. Like the moment your dog decides, I'd rather do this, you're fucked. You're literally fucked. There's nothing you can do. He's like, I would rather run up to that dog, so I'm gonna do that instead of recall. I'm gonna do that instead of heel. I'm gonna run up to that person. I'm gonna run into the road after this bunny. You're literally fucked, right? And so you can't achieve and that's why you don't see it. Like When have you ever seen you see a lot of deceptive videos where it's like, my dog is off leash, and they're like in an empty field. There's like literally nothing around, and their dog is like off leash next to them because they're holding some food in their hand or something. It's like, bruh, this is not it. It's like, what? But yeah, you don't see them like off leash downtown, in public, past people, past dogs. Dog is off leash right next to them. Dog is free in the environment. Dog is playing fetch. It's the reliability around the competing reinforcers. Like, if your dog really, 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 really wants to run after that rabbit or something, right? And you need them to heel next to you, you're either going to have to make heeling so reinforcing that it exceeds the level of reinforcement they would get from chasing the bunny positively. Like, how are you going to do that? Unless your dog is absolutely crazy about the ball, or absolutely insane about the food, or literally just doesn't like chasing bunnies, you're not going to be able to do it, right? You have to give the dog a reason to stay in the heel. And for that, you have to use negative reinforcement. I tell you to heel. If you see bunnies in the environment, if you see dogs in the environment, you really want to run up to them. If there's smells in the environment, you cannot engage with those things. You have to stay in the heel, because I make pressure. If you get out of the heel, I make it uncomfortable for you to break the heel position. Negative reinforcement. That's what creates the reliability in the behavior. It's not the positive reinforcement. It's the negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is more important than the positive reinforcement. I will stand by that. Negative reinforcement over positive reinforcement all day. Because with negative reinforcement, I can do anything with the dog. I can give the dog total freedom in the environment. I can give the dog, I can take that dog anywhere. We can do anything together. I'm using that all day long. Now, don't get me wrong, we use positive reinforcement as well, but yeah, it does not create reliability. Our trainer recommended to neuter our 2.5-year-old mini Aussie 1/4 border collie cross for his behavioral issue. Can't stop sniffing other dogs' private parts and follow them. Do you recommend to? No, of course not. This is a behavior, right? Chopping his nuts off doesn't guarantee you change a behavior. All it guarantees is now he has no nuts. That's it. It's always crazy. What you have to do, if you really want him to stop doing this, is you have to make it bad for him to keep doing that. So you tell him to knock it off, and if he doesn't knock it off, you make it bad to not knock it off. That's it. It's not like this complicated thing where now we have to give him surgery, and now we have to do get him on medication. It's crazy. Just tell him to knock it off and make him knock it off physically. But yeah, it's crazy. Had my first proofing walk with the e-collar after watching you, John and Tom, so thank you. Nice. Awesome. First proofing walk with the e-collar. Amazing. Very close to the off-leash. Well done. Dude, it's awesome. Yeah, they're also, Sage. Oh, this is Sage and Elizabeth. So it was at my house walking around the property. He reached to pick something up off the ground. She jumped up and tried to nip at him. He was trying to be very careful around her, but maybe not enough. It's hard for me to say for sure, right? Because of course I can't see it. Let's see. In your situation, he's around her. He does something that makes her feel uncomfortable. She goes to try to nip at him. What did you do after? What did she do after? And what did he do after? That's the next piece. Why was she uncomfortable around this guy? Is it just because? Uncomfortable around anyone who was on your property? Yeah, more context that I need to give you a clear answer. But yeah, send me a DM and I'll try to help you more about it. Try to give as much context as you can around it. specifically what happened before, during, and after. Like what you did during, and after, and what she did after as well. Connor asks, my 17-month-old puppy is getting better on the lead. She loses focus and goes nuts for wallabies in the morning. Do I need to avoid it altogether? How can I train her to control her impulses around them? Just loose leash walking. So you make it very, 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 very clear. Do not pull on the leash. Do not pull on the leash. If you pull onto the leash, there is a consequence every single time, right? And she learns very quickly, even around the wobblies, do not pull on the leash. If she wants to lunge after one or something like this, maybe she's walking on a loose leash, walking on a loose leash, and she lunges, make that a really big consequence right there. That's how you teach her the impulse control. You install some inhibition in performing that behavior. So she wants to do this thing, there's now inhibition installed right in between her and that behavior that that impulse that she wants to act on. But yeah, just loose leash walking, phase 3 of the loose leash walking. All right, I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom a little bit, guys, because I have 3% battery left and I wanna make sure that I got some of the recent questions asked here. Cheyenne. Hello, Cheyenne. During a reactivity session, is it okay when I do a close pass if my dog stops and sniff the other one excitedly but maintains a loose leash and follows me? I wouldn't let her directly interact with the other dog, at least right now. Like as you're still working through the reactivity process, I wouldn't let her directly interact with them. But if you're creating space and you're just like walking past like on a loose leash or something like this, and she goes to like kind of give an air sniff like this as you walk past, right? As you walk past the dog, this is fine in the beginning. Now, later on in the program, if you notice this, she continues offering this behavior, then you can make pressure when she goes and does that. But for right now, don't allow her to actually interact with the dog, at least right now. If she goes and sniffs with the air but maintains a loose leash, this is fine. And then you can reward her when you pass also. All right. How would you suggest correct attention whining? You just have to make something aversive on the behavior. So you can use a leash and a collar. You can use an e-collar. You can use your voice. You can use like literally anything that the dog deems aversive. You can use it. It really depends on what tools you've been using, where you're at in the training. But anything aversive. Do I need to make training place easier if my teenage dog starts to chew on the leash? We are several days in, started working on duration. Best is 10 minutes. Nice. So, teenage dog. I mean, like, if it was a really young puppy, I'd just let him bite on the leash. But if it's like an older dog, you can correct the leash biting. So when they are biting on the leash, mark it with no, come over, and then punish the behavior. You can do it by popping on the leash. You can scruff the dog. It just depends on whatever the dog finds punishing. So whatever you can do that communicates to the dog, hey, stop doing that, that's what you do. So you mark it with no, and then you punish it. And then every single time they do that, you do the same thing. And if they keep on doing it, then you're not punishing it. And you need to change what you're doing, increase the pressure of what you're using, and so on, until they stop doing it. So yeah. All right, I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. I have 2% on my battery. Any advice for training a Cane Corso? Has super high drop? Oh, before I answer the questions, guys, start a free trial. It's pinned link in the comments. You can start a free trial and check out our entire training system. Everything. It takes your dog from completely untrained, off-leash trained. All you have to do is watch video lessons in order, ask for help when you feel stuck, and actually train your dog every day. If you can do that, you can be successful in the program. So if that's what you want, if you want a dog you can take off-leash anywhere, check it out. The link is pinned. Any advice for training a Corso who has super high drive, high pain tolerance, finding it hard to find a versive that she care about? That's a good question, Julian. For you, if you got a Corso, probably you will have to switch to a tool that gives you higher leverage. So even on a prong, it can be very difficult to control them physically, especially if you're smaller. And so for that, I will typically just switch straight to the e-collar, and I go through the same process. So if you're in the training program, we would start out on week 3 of the program. We'd start out conditioning the e-collar on the flat collar, and then we teach the loose leash walking, we teach all the behaviors and stuff, but you'd be using the e-collar to negatively reinforce the behaviors instead of the leash and the prong, because the e-collar gives you more leverage. You don't have to rely on physical strength to communicate with the dog. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Can you break a vocal dog and make them be quiet, even if it's a specific breed? It's not a bark, more of a whine or his way of talking. If we get close to our destination, he will whimper. If it gets excessive, you can punish it, but generally, you're not going to be able to make it completely go away. He'll always be whiny. Orbit's always whiny. Arrow's whiny, like they just whine. If it gets really crazy, then I'll come in and I'll punish and I'll tell him to be quiet. Loved your reactive video this week. Zeke last year applied some of the methods. Have a niece puppy with a harness. Very reactive towards other dogs. Apply it on a harness. You need a way to punish the behavior. If you can punish a behavior on a harness, okay, you can do it. But if you can't punish a behavior on a harness, which you probably can't, then you can't use a harness. Right? You have to be able to apply something aversive that he wants to avoid to the behavior of reacting. My dog acts amazing on the prong collar, pays attention, doesn't pull, walks great. As soon as the vest goes on, it's all out the window. As soon as the vest goes on, what do you mean? What is a vest? Thanks. Nice. Awesome. Good luck on your puppies, Eric. Like a harness? Well, yeah, because you can't reinforce behaviors on a harness, right? You need a way to reinforce behaviors. Like if you can't reinforce a behavior on a harness, if you can't negatively reinforce a behavior, if you can't punish a behavior, of course your dog's not gonna perform the behaviors on the harness. So for us, we use the prong collar in the beginning, in the first 2 weeks, just like as training wheels. And then we transition to the e-collar, and the dog is on the e-collar, and you reinforce the behaviors on there, and then the dog is off leash. And that's it. And then you'll be able to reinforce behaviors with just your voice and just your body, because your dog assumes that your commands are backed by something physical, because you've done it all through the training process. So yeah, that's what we do. We don't use harnesses to reinforce behaviors. All right, my phone is at 1%. My puppy will be 6 months old tomorrow. In the past couple of weeks, he seems to be aggressive out of the blue with me. He starts by lightly panting. I'm trying to figure out why he perceives some state of conflict in certain contexts. Figure out why that's happening, figure out what context it's happening in, and do your best to resolve or minimize the conflict in those moments. Focus on management inside the house. When he comes out and he's interacting with you, you're interacting in a fun, productive way together. You're doing training sessions together, you're playing together, you're going outside, adventuring together, and so on. And so a lot of people unintentionally do things that a lot of people have, like, they're doing things with good intentions, but then their dog perceives it as stressful or as conflict. They unintentionally create conflict between them and the dogs without even realizing it. So be very mindful. He has absolutely no interest in treats while on a leash either. Any tips for that? You don't need treats to train your dog. You just use negative reinforcement. All right, guys. All right, I'm at 1%. My phone is about to die. I hope you guys got some value out of this live. Start a free trial. The link is pinned in the chat. Check it out. Oh my gosh, this log is absolutely going at it. It's like blasting flames out of it. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. I will see you guys on the next live.